and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh, and in this video, we will discuss the Edukemy's Gazette for 19th August 2021, your daily guide to UPSC current affairs. So, the first one being 4-point framework for US peacekeeping forces. So, this has been given by India. Second one is appointment of Supreme Court judges, 9 of them getting appointed in this week. And the third is the rising number of IPOs, initial public offerings. So these are the news updates. This day in history belongs to Afghanistan Independence, which happened from Britishers in 1919. We will study about it. Featured news. It is important to study mental health care of the students in context of Delhi High Court telling the Delhi government to enforce the Mental Health Care Act 2017. And in this context, we will understand what are the issues that plague students to get into depression and later probably sometimes do commit suicide. We will also discuss what is the solution for such a situation. So this is the featured news in a separate video, and rest of the discussion will be on another video. So we have 2 videos on current affairs for today, right? Continuing, image of the day is something that one of the ministers shared, one of the ministers in the government of India shared, rock edict of Lord Buddha from Arunachal Pradesh. Terms and concepts in use: oil bonds, fast track FTAs, women to take NDA exams, which is a good development for gender empowerment, and swaption deals. So 4 terms for today. Editorials of the day. Today we discuss the kind of police that we need. So also written by 2 senior police officers. The second one is on speaker's impartiality. So speaker being held responsible for what is happening in the parliament these days. And the third one is on women at workplaces, increasing employment and leadership for them. So interesting editorials for the day. The case study is Kudumbashree scheme from state of Kerala. So let's start the discussion. We have dedicated this day in history to Afghanistan Independence because it was on August 19th, 1919, that was almost a century back, that Afghanistan gained independence from the British rule. British did not control the Afghan territory and rule Afghanistan per se, but yes, there was conquest and they attacked Afghanistan region thrice. And later they realized that they must shift back. So it was only after this treaty that Durand Line was formed. And we have discussed Durand Line in one of the images, right? So Durand Line formed in 1919, formed the boundary between the British Indian administered territory and Afghanistan. And right now this line forms the boundary between Afghanistan and Pakistan, Durand Line. Right? Now sadly, it is very ironic that almost a century later, Afghanistan has again fallen in the trap of certain kind of elements, forces, this time Taliban. And this is an image from almost a century back. The hot selling article in the market. Snapshot 1. The first snapshot is on the 4-point framework that has been released by India in the United Nations peacekeeping forces. Now, India is the chair for United Nations Security Council. We know that for this month. And India has got mandates of three important topics, 3 important discussions. One of them is maritime security, in which India did release a 5-point framework, right? Prime Minister himself spoke about it, and we have discussed this in one of the snapshots. The second one is peacekeeping forces, and we will have this because the external affairs ministers were the one who spoke on these 4-point framework. And the third one relates to counter-terrorism, which India is also speaking a lot about. India has been vocal ever since. So this is the second one that we are covering, and because also it is in news. Now, this article focuses, the speech also of the foreign minister focused on protecting the protectors. So United Nations peacekeeping forces, they are fighting an asymmetric war, right? A warfare of multiple challenges in different kind of terrains, and this is where they need more protection. Also, India is one of the countries which has provided the highest number of military personnel for United Nations peacekeeping forces since independence. So around 2.5 lakh personnel India has provided. Also, India has provided around 5,000 personnel right now. India is one of the highest. Bangladesh is the highest right now, along with countries like Rwanda. So they provide around 6,000 forces. 6,000 forces per year. India is around 5,000. So this calls for increasing protection for the protectors in a way that the predictions that we are able to predict what kind of offensive will be there against United Nations forces. So predicting them and then preventing them. These are the two most important things, and in case they happen, in case such mishap happens, then responding to such kind of threats against the protectors. So under this, the government of India has released 4-point framework for United Nations, right? So what are they? The first one talks about having having that kind of technology which is reliable, cost effective, and which has proved its capacity. So having that kind of technology. So innovations. The second one talks of intelligence, right? So this kind of technology we must have which can warn us beforehand. So a trustable technology which can warn us. So a technology which is useful, right? So first is technology, second is utility. The third point relates to improvement in the technology, right? Because day by day, this warfare technology is improving, right? So offensive capacity is improving, so defensive capacity also must improve. The basic difference between security forces and the anti-state, the non-state actors, so security forces and non-state actors, is that these are not the forces which are primarily meant to be offensive. They try to defend the people, right? Especially United Nations, because they are peacekeeping in origin, right? So they cannot have offensive against the non-state actors. They have to stop firing. They can't even start firing unless and until they are fired upon, right? So these are the basic objectives, and therefore we have to improve these technologies that are available to secure the personals. And the fourth is to ensure that these technologies which have been developed and improved are available on the spot with United Nations forces. So on the ground usage must increase, right? Just like we have farmers, right? So scientific advancements happen at laboratories, and then farming is done through that, and this farm to fork, and later people eat that food. So in case of food, this is the chain. In case of technology, science, and then utility for peacekeeping. So this is the fourth agenda, right? So the fourth that we have covered right now are technology for intelligence and having trustable things like early warning. The third is improvement in it, and the fourth is capacity building so that they can be used, they can be put on ground. So these are the four things India spoke of. In the same context, India also released a Unite Awareness program. So Unite Awareness initiative, in which the software will be able to help understand what is the kind of terrain that United Nations forces are going to deal with. So one is the terrain. The second one deals with what are the kind of offensive things available there. They also will be able, through this Unite Awareness, the personnel will also be able to monitor the situation on ground realities and adequately respond. So this is a software simulation of the zone in which the action will take place. Unite Awareness, India's initiative, right? Along with these 4 points. Snapshot 2 is on appointment of Supreme Court judges. 9 Supreme Court judges have been recently appointed. Now, this is a great news for Supreme Court because till now we have had only 24 judges in the functional capacity, whereas the capacity of Supreme Court to have the maximum number of judges is 34, including the Chief Justice. So, if you do the math, you will realize that 24 plus 9 comes to 33. Where does the single judge go? Why are not we recruiting another judge in the position, right? So there is a background to it. We will discuss that very shortly. But before that, we must remember that for the sake of women empowerment and their equality of representation, 3 women judges also have been included in the new appointment, right? Now, Supreme Court has been mandated to have judges representation in equity, in equitable representation, not only in terms of gender, but also regions and religion. However, these appointments are not on those lines, right? So this means that 6 states from India have more than 50% representation of judges in Supreme Court. This is against the principle of Supreme Court itself of equitable representation of regions and religions, right? Now, these women judges also, they have been inducted, but India will have only the first female Chief Justice by the year 2027. That also could, and that also only for a month. So where is equitable representation? So this is one question that is present in front of the Supreme Court. Also, one thing important to note is that Supreme Court itself took 22 months to recommend these names. So it took a long while for it to fill up these positions which were vacant. So inefficiency of the court and deriving consensus among the collegium also was an issue, right? Also, there must be more transparency. So explaining you the issue of the 34th judge, right? So 34th judge was Judge Qureshi. He is the Chief Justice for Tripura High Court, right? So the story about him is that earlier he was the second in command in the Gujarat High Court. That means just behind the Chief Justice, he was the next in precedence who could have become the Chief Justice of the Gujarat High Court. However, before he could be appointed as the Chief Justice, he was transferred to Maharashtra High Court, and there he became the 5th senior most judge. So therefore, he could not become the Chief Justice here also. Right? Later, when Supreme Court also recommended again his appointment as the Chief Justice of Madhya Pradesh High Court, this was rejected by the center, and he was sent to Tripura as the Chief Justice. Right? Now, the government or the court, the Supreme Court itself, they do not provide any reason for why they are accepting somebody as a Supreme Court judge appointment or why they are rejecting it. And in 2017, precedence was set by Chief Justice of India Deepak Mishra, erstwhile Chief Justice Deepak Mishra. He had said that the court will put on records, it will put on the website the reason for the transfer or appointment of the judges. But that precedence again has not been followed, and there is opacity on who should be appointed, why they should be appointed, right? The court categorically mentions that merit should be the category, merit should be the criteria for appointment of judges, right? Also, seniority is an important category, but merit is far more superior, and therefore in these appointments, some judges who were superior, their capacity has been exceeded by the junior judges on the account of merit, right? So this is the update from this article. The third snapshot for today is on IPOs, initial public offerings. So before we get into what they are, let me explain what RBI has said. RBI has said that this year could as well turn into India's year of IPOs, India's year of initial public offerings. So let us quickly discuss what is this IPO and why is it so much in news. Now, IPO literally means that the company which was earlier unlisted, right, the company which belonged to only few individuals, right, now it has been shared with several stakeholders, right? Those stakeholders can purchase equity or shares of that particular company, right? So a company which was private earlier, now it has been listed. Now it has been made such that other stakeholders also can purchase equity from it. Why does the company do this? A company does this to raise capital, to gain trust of the people, right? A company does this so that it can expand, right? So that there may be more board of directors, more members. So promoters are the people who establish that company, and independent directors also will get placed once the company gets listed, right? Because after it gets listed, it has new set of norms to be followed, right? So that is the reason that a company gets listed or it releases IPO. Now, if a company has already been listed in the market and it is a part of the stock exchange, suppose, and it wants to increase it wants to garner more investments from the market. It wants to increase its domain. So it releases FPO, follow on public offer. So IPO is released for the first time when it wants to list itself and become public, and later FPO is released. So that is the prime difference. And why? Why are we calling it the year of IPOs for India? It is because that many companies who got listed in the market, they got listed with a lot of investments, right? So capital was oversubscribed. For example, if the company says that fine, we have 100 shares to dilute and we want to give it to public. So companies like Zomato, when they got subscription, it was oversubscribed 38 times. 38 times. That means for 100 shares, 3,800 people had applied. Imagine. So this is the kind of demand. So accordingly, the price at which the stock got listed, that also goes up, right? Because demand is high. So India has garnered as much as 80,000 crores, around $9 billion. That amounts to around 80,000 crore rupees just because of IPO subscription. And why is this happening? This is happening because around the world, there is an expansionary monetary policy and people are ready to invest in the upcoming technology. Also, one must note, all this investment, IPOs, they are happening in digital payment solutions, right? Just note this, e-commerce, logistics. Why? Why these particular sectors? They are not happening in defense. They are not happening in other sectors. Why in these sectors? Why? Because India is developing fundamental capacity in these sectors, because we have not had digital payment solutions earlier, because we have not had e-commerce as flourishing. So now these companies are order of the day. They will govern the governance of the commerce in future because of Corona and because of this new type of economy, stay-at-home economy. This is the order of the day, and that is why people are investing more in these kind of companies. Of course, when there will be time for recession and when there will be a bear market, all these listings will go down. But right now, we are in the year of IPOs. Image of the day is the rock edict of Lord Buddha. right? So this is the image of Lord Buddha on this rock. It has been sculpted and it has been found in Arunachal Pradesh. This image was shared by the Union Minister Kiran Rijiju, right? And this was found during the time of Guru Padma Sambhava, right? And he became one of the founders, one of the important founders of the Nyingma tradition of Buddhism. And this is how you can also relate to how Buddhism expanded itself, right? This is of the 8th century. However, Buddhism also expanded itself in the earlier centuries in areas of Northeast, and then proceeding to China, Japan, and Southeast Asia, also West Asia, right? So spread of Buddhism. First term for today, oil bonds. What are oil bonds? Now, we very well know that oil prices have skyrocketed, right? Over 100 rupees is the price of petrol, and over 90 rupees is the price of diesel, right? Now, why is it so? It is so because government is not regulating the price of petroleum products. But earlier, the government used to regulate the prices of oil products in the market, say a decade back. Slowly, government said that we will not be regulating these prices, these should be market determined. So earlier, these oil marketing companies, which are the oil marketing companies? We have BPCL, right? We have HPCL, we have IOCL. So these are the state companies, government companies. So government would say that you bear the loss. You sell the oil. If the oil is for 100 rupees, you sell it at 70 rupees. And this 30 rupees loss, you bear it, we will pay it to you. However, government would not pay them the money. Instead of paying them the money, government would give them oil bonds. And that is why news. Government would pay them oil bonds. And this is nothing but a future liability for the government. In fact, government would have also to pay the interest of these oil bonds, because this is a payment, liable payment from the government end. It was like a subsidy provided to people, right? So therefore, why are they in news? Because the government of the day, it says that the past government had issued a lot of oil bonds and they are liability on the government for now. So this is why in news. But oil bonds, you have understood what it is. The government also has to pay interest, and then it is a long-term loan on the government. The government does not pay on that particular day because it has shortfalls in revenue, because expenditures are high. Very simple. Amdani atani, kharcha rupaya, oil bonds. Second term in news is fast track FTA, free trade agreement. Now, governments conduct FTAs. So there is a regional trade pact between two countries or multiple countries, so that they reduce their duties, so that import and export becomes easier for the traders. However, this fast track FTA deals with fast tracking of only particular goods, right? So when FTA is signed between two countries, there may be 10,000 products. India literally has 11,000 products in FTA, right? So these products either have to be safeguarded from our end, or they have to be an offensive. That means India is very good at production of them, and therefore India wants to aggressively export it. And in case of products India wants to defend, India has to defend those products on the offensive of the incoming products from outside. So that is why FTAs are signed. But if countries are confident on some particular product, they can sign FTAs. So fast track FTAs. So these are only for the products, product distress, only for few products, so that the tariff can be discussed only for tariff discussion, and the whole process of trade is facilitated. It becomes fast. So India is signing these FTAs with some specific countries right now: UAE, UK, Australia, Canada, EU, etc. So the main idea is, during these times, India should accelerate the incoming of those products which are essential for us, and India should also accelerate the outcoming of those products which India finds easy to export, right? So fast tracking of the FTAs, fast track FTAs. The third term and concept in news relates to women and Indian Army. This we have discussed in one of the major feature that we covered just 3 days back, right? Now, this news is a very welcoming step, update from the government side. The Supreme Court this time has said that the women participants can take the NDA examination and get inducted into National Defence Academy, Khadagwasla, Pune, right? Till now, the government has been accepting women entry into armed forces only through OTA. In army through officers training academy, right? So for short service commission. But after Supreme Court had said that Supreme Court ensures that the women participants will also get the full commission. That means they will be able to serve in the military forces for their full-time career. Similarly, Supreme Court has also said now that they can get into NDA. When they can start getting into OTA, Officers Training Academy, after graduation, they can also get into NDA after their 12th class examination only, right? So this is a good news for women participants, right? Patriots. Now, important to note is that presently only 0.5% of representation is there in the officer category for women. Only 0.5% in Army. Navy has only 6.5% and Air Force only 1%. So it demands more equity that women be present in armed forces as well. Right? Now there are challenges. There are challenges like how to conduct the examination for women candidates for NDA, their induction, training, and their deputation. So infrastructure, institutional capacities have to be laid down. UPSC has also been instructed in the same regard. Now, because you people are preparing for the civil service examination, IFS, forest service examination, etc., you might have focused only on this domain of UPSC, civil services. However, civil service examination, along with military services, for example, this ND examination is also conducted by UPSC. CDS also, Combined Defense Services, after graduation is also conducted by UPSC, etc. The fourth term in news is swaption deal. Now, what happens usually in the market is that when trading happens, suppose this is an entity which has to be traded. It can be traded on the spot, right, during stock exchange hours. However, it can also be traded in advance. So, if I have, if I have rice as a product, and I know that this product later in the market, its rate will fall. Why? Because I know that the rains will be good. I know that Indian agricultural is good. So, since agriculture scenario is good, rice production will be good, its rate in market will fall. So, I can do a kind of speculative trading, a trading for the future. So, I will say that yes, I will purchase this product. Right now, if it is for 100 rupees, I will purchase it for 80 rupees in the market after a month. So, this is like a contract between the two parties for future, right? So, speculative contract. So, this is what is called as options and future trading, right? So, if there are times when this has to be compulsorily purchased by the contracting parties, right? So, if one has said 80 rupees and it doesn't become 80, it becomes 110, they will bear the loss, right? But if it becomes 80 rupees, they will have profit. So, there are certain kind of binding trades and certain kind of non-binding trades, right? Now, this is also a scope for more profit in the market, more profit for the traders, and this also is a scope for a disaster for the people who are participating in these kind of deals. Therefore, to introduce less volatility in the market, there are swaption deals. So, to be able to make oneself more flexible in the market, to provide better risk management, these deals can also be negotiated on agile terms. For example, the interest rates can be swapped. So, this is what swaption deal is about. India has had its first swaption deal between these banks, HDFC, ICICI and StanC, Standard Chartered Bank, right? They can help in two ways. One, they can reduce the volatility in the market, and also the people who want to make it more volatile, they can also participate because they will have increased risk-taking abilities, right? So, this is how swaption deal has been in news. Editorials of the day. The first editorial is a very interesting one, and it talks about policing, the policing that we deserve in the country. And this article has been written by two senior police officers. So let us discuss this quickly. Now, the article begins by talking about Ranjita Sharma. She is the first female officer of the Indian Police Service who has received the Sword of Honor. Right? She has also led the parade, passing out parade of the Indian IPS probationers. Right? She has also been awarded the best all-rounder IPS probationer. Last year also it was only a female who got this award. So this talks of female empowerment, which is a very, very good thing. Right? Also, the article says that the police that we need is not just the police who studies, right? Not just the one who studies for civil service examination, brains, but bronze as well. Bronze means physical power, the muscle to be able to defend the weak, right? So brains and bronze both are required, and this is where Ranjita Sharma, she did succeed, because the Sword of Honor is given to the best outdoor probationer. Right, the probationer need not only be the outdoor person, they also got to be the indoor person. So she got this time for the first time for a female, right? The article then says that the young leaders are tech savvy these days, and this is a very, very good step for the Indian Police Service also, because these kind of officers will use technology to the aid of service, right? The article also says that these young leaders, why are they put in the forces? Why at this young age? Because the government entrusts a lot of responsibility on them, right? And therefore there comes an important time when they have to act ethically, right? In the public positions, they must be objective and accountable and skilled. However, there are a lot of appointments which are done on the political basis. article says this, right? And the article again says that thankfully there are some set of norms which have been devised now. So for the appointment of the position of DGP of the state, Director General of Police of the state, the selection is done from three persons. The union provides a list in which 3 persons' names are mentioned, and the state government chooses one from that list. So at least there is some fixed tenure, 2-year fixed tenure for the DGP. Also, there is a narrow down of the list. It is not completely random, right? This is what the article says. The article also says that what is the kind of image that we look forward to in a police, right? When I see police at the traffic signal, I sometimes actually feel that probably I have done something wrong and they're coming close to me, right? So some fine, but the image of the police actually should be friendly. We should be able to go to them easily and talk about the issues that we are facing, right? So they should be friendly. They should be able to give professional services to us. What is police? It is not Indian police. It is Indian police service. So they are at our service. It is the kind of service that they are giving to us, and in return we are also paying taxes to the government so that they receive salary. So this is a professional relationship. It should not be that of hegemon, right? They cannot be dominating, right? So the article goes on to say that they at this present time, they do not even register cases properly. So police has to change in these norms, right? The police that we ought to have must be responsive and must be respected, and not the one that is feared. This is very important. This is a very good line. The police must be responsive and respected and not feared, right? The article concludes by saying that this generation of police officer needs responsive and respected police officers, right? But they are not being so. Why? Why? Is it because there is lack of role model? Because the article itself says that there are a lot of police officers, senior officers, who are caught up in issues of extortion of money. They're caught up in sexual harassment cases. So is it the lack of role models, or is it the faulty selection? We are selecting only the people with brains and not that physical capacity, not that outdoor capacity, or is it poor supervision of the junior officers? This is where the article concludes. The second editorial for today puts responsibility on the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, right? So for the malfunctioning of the parliament, for the washout of the monsoon session, the Speaker must be held responsible and accountable. Let us discuss this article. Now, here the article says that paralyzing parliament has become the standard operating procedure of the parliament, right? The impartiality and the independence of Speaker has been questioned, right? G.V. Mavalankar was the first Speaker. He had said, under quotes, that the Speaker must be above party politics, right? And the Speaker should belong to all or belong to none. This should be the logo for a Speaker to act it, right? However, this is not being happening right now. Speaker has been given a lot of discretion to be able to discuss on important issues, to ensure if adjournment motion has to be passed or not, right? Tabling of important motions. Speaker is the one who has that discretion, but Speaker does not participate through impartial means. There is a partisan conduct of Speaker, right? Supreme Court itself has observed. The article says that in many cases of defection, the Speaker has acted in a partisan manner. In case the parliamentarian was to be charged with anti-defection rules, they have not been charged if they belong to the ruling party. The Speaker, being the conscience keeper and the guardian of the House, this is not accepted from them, right? The suggestion that the article gives is that the Speaker must resign from the political party, from the ruling political party, before taking their position, right? However, this is not happening, right? Also, in this particular Lok Sabha, there was no reference made of any bill to any select committee. So the article goes on to say that this is a very dangerous trend where bureaucracy is designing policies, executive is designing policies, and there is no control from the parliament. Who is to be held accountable? This article says it is the Speaker who has to be held accountable, because parliamentary accountability on the executive is through the role of Speaker, right? So this is the primary responsibility of every ruling party henceforth, to ensure that the Speaker remains impartial, that the Speaker remains independent. This is the essence of the article. The third editorial of the day is on women and their participation in workplaces, offices. The article begins by saying that India has 48% women population. But is that the population that is reflected in jobs in India? Are there 48% employment of women in 100% jobs? No, they are not. The World Economic Forum itself has said that in this artificial intelligence driven world, the increasing capacity of emotional intelligence, there will be increasing capacity of creative problem solving. There will be increasing capacity of storytelling. And women are the one who have got these innate abilities. They are the one who are innately, that means fundamentally, having these kind of emotional intelligence power, right? Creative intelligence power. These are feminine traits. This is what the article says. And empathy, compassion, sensitivity. These are the kind of qualities that are required in these times, right? So these are the signs which have traditionally been called as weak signs, right? Having empathy, showing compassion to people, this has been treated as weakness. But the article questions this. The editorial says that no, this is probably the sign of strength. This is what is required at workplaces. This is also required to make the workplace more efficient, and therefore women can be included in all the workplaces in these particular contexts, right? Indian system of education goes by skill, goes by people who can have academic knowledge, right? But the main idea is to include these newer terms also. Also in the AI-driven atmosphere, these are the kind of skills which will require only human interventions. So women, they are the ones who should be participants. Article further goes on to say that women should not think small of merely gaining a job. The idea must be to become leaders, to become equal participants along with males, right? The idea is not to become like men. The idea is to represent their own qualities in full brightness. So empathy, compassion, emotional intelligence in full strength in leadership, right? So this is equity. The article further goes to say that equity must be maintained. These women are also from two backgrounds, one privileged background and the humble background, right? So privileged are the ones which are given more preference in jobs. Why? Because they have better soft skills, because they have better visible finesse. So what are these two terms? Soft skills is the way we conduct ourselves at places, the way we speak or the way we act, the body language, right? All these speaks. So this is where the article says that the industry is not wrong to accept the privileged background here. However, these small traits can be incorporated in all the category of people, all the kind of gentry, and therefore the idea is not to be like men. The idea is to reflect women qualities in full capacity. Case study of the day is on Kudum Shri scheme. Now this is a very, very popular and a super hit scheme in the state of Kerala, right? It ensures the absolute poverty elimination, eradication of poverty in the state. It was initiated in Kerala state in the year 1998, and the main agenda was not only to eliminate poverty from the state but also to give basic rights, to enable women to have basic rights. So how are this scheme different from the other schemes? This scheme is different from other schemes in two respects. It has universality of reach. That means it does not leave any woman out, right? So absolute poverty, the concept of absolute poverty and relative poverty exists. So absolute and relative. Relative means I can consider myself poor in front of Ambani, but I may not be poor. I have got some basic necessities and I have got them fulfilled, right? But absolute poor means the person who does not have clothing, basic clothing, who do not have basic home, who do not have basic food to eat, right? So removal of absolute poverty is one required thing, and this is where universality of reach, this is the flagship of this Kutumbari stream, right? The second thing is that it also utilizes community interface in governance. That means these local ladies, they form a union, they form a group, self-help group, and they participate. They also contribute to policing, and this is how they ensure basic rights for everybody. So this is a super hit scheme. Please remember this name, Kutumbashree, from the state of Kerala, right? So they help in farming, microfinancing, training, all the kind of activities through self-help groups in the field of health, nutrition, agriculture, income generation, everywhere. So this is a beautiful case study from the southern state of Kerala, Kutumbashree. If you like this video, share some love on us through likes, comments, shares, and subscribes. Subscribe will ensure that you receive timely updates for the videos. Thanks for watching.